Welcome to The Profitable Mindset, a show dedicated to teaching you the skills you need to build a profitable product-based business that makes you feel free and fully in control. Here is your host, Charlotte Smith.
Hey there, welcome back to episode number 7 of the Profitable Mindset podcast, and it's called How to Use Farm Events to Attract New Customers and Profit. Today, I really wanted to dive into how to use event planning for your farm's profit because farm events were a huge help for me in building my loyal customer base those first few years. As a matter of fact, I can't think of anything that worked better or faster to attract devoted customers that were willing to pay our prices, which often most of the time have to be higher than the grocery store, of course. But first, though, today I'm going to spotlight one of my listeners. I love doing this each week, and I'd love to spotlight your review too. Remember, I know I mentioned this before, but they're so important, those reviews on iTunes, so that the algorithm knows I have something helpful to farmers and then actually puts my podcast in front of the people I can help. So do go leave a review. And this week, I want to give a shout out to Koofy. I love your little names you guys have on iTunes. It's super fun because I have no idea who you are. But anyway, Koofy says, thank you, Charlotte. Charlotte has created a wonderful and useful podcast for new and beginning farmers. I love being able to listen while I do chores and then come back home and apply some of her advice right away. Beyond her podcast, her website offers so much free advice and opportunities for classes that it's one of just a few sites I recommend to other farmers just starting out. Thank you, Charlotte, for supporting and encouraging a new generation of farmers to replace those retiring. You are so welcome, Koofy, and thanks for that fabulous review. It's so helpful to me, and it's what is going to keep this podcast going, too. So thanks so much. All right. Let's dive into today's topic. Events are perfect for summer, which is why I wanted to talk about it now. And also, your events you plan don't have to be a formal event like a fancy farm-to-table dinner. As a matter of fact, those are often the least profitable events for a lot of reasons. So that's not really what I'm addressing here today. I'm addressing, as usual, I have very practical ideas to build a loyal customer base that don't cost you a lot of money. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. And I'm telling you, if you have a chicken coop and a garden box, and you think, oh, all I have is a chicken coop and a garden box, I can't give a farm tour. Guess what? You've got a farm tour that people would love to attend. People are looking for excuses to go do things. And getting out on a farm is perfect. And again, you might think you don't have much to share, but other people are delighted to be able to come out and see your cat and your chicken coop. Seriously, I hear it all the time. So I've got lots of details coming up I'm going to go through in today's podcast, and I put together several pages of everything on a checklist that will help you plan your first tour. Guaranteed there are lots of things on there you haven't thought about, and it'll help you be more organized for that first event too. So go to 3cowmarketing.com/events to get the complete checklist. Then once you get that checklist, you will feel calm and confident knowing you're prepared. It will just help you do a much better job going into that first event. So why should we do events on the farm, and especially tours? Well, they're a great place to get your feet wet. As you've heard me talk about in depth, food is a commodity in our society. So you have to come at marketing your farm products from a different angle than that it's a good deal or it's a cost savings or because it's local or fresh. Most farmers don't realize that when they try to compete with the local grocery store or maybe Amazon or Walmart or even other market vendors or neighboring farms, you'll never win at that competition game. You will always struggle when that's where you're coming from. There's only one way I've found to completely stand out and stand alone in your selling, and it's going to require you learn to market your products from the place that is so completely opposite of what everyone else is selling, whether that's food or flowers or meat or eggs. You will come from a place that is so opposite that you are no longer lumped into a category with them. When you do this, and I'm going to show you how, don't get overwhelmed. It's super easy. When you learn to do this, you will find that people will seek you out to purchase your products, even if they pass by competing and cheaper farms or market booths. They will still seek you out because you're learning to come at it from a different place. You'll learn to outshine all of them. As a matter of fact, in a way, you will create your own category that is beyond food and farm products, all right? Whatever it is we are raising, you will learn to stand out so that you aren't even lumped into a group with the other people selling those same products. That one way for you to stand out and not be lumped into any competitive categories with other farmers is by building a relationship with your customers, both in person and online. And I teach you how to do exactly that in today's podcast. Farm events play a huge role in doing this. Holding events on the farm will build deep relationships faster than any email or Facebook or Instagram posts that you could possibly come up with. And why is this? I've mentioned before that I notice, and I started noticing this early on, that whenever I met someone in person, there was about a 99% chance they would become a loyal paying customer that would return again and again. And this is for so many reasons, which of course I teach in more depth in my courses, but they just connect deeper and faster in person than any other method. They might be on my email list for months or maybe even a couple years before they become a buying customer. But if I meet them in person, it is almost immediate and it endures. They're a long-time customer. Amazon and Walmart have infinite advertising budgets, you guys. We know this, we see this. And you and I as farmers have an opportunity to level the playing field, and connecting in person, which those other platforms can't do, is the thing that will help us rise to the top in the competitive game, to the point where there no longer is any competition. People won't even think of ordering online once they've met you and had the experience I'm going to talk to you about today. This is exactly how my farm feels, and many of my farm marketing students who learn to market this way feel the exact same way. There can be farmers all around them selling the exact same products, most of the time for less money, and customers will go out of their way to seek out our farmers because of that relationship. So, how can you build deeper, instant relationships with customers and gain exposure to your farm? Plan these events. I'm going to tell you how. When I first started my farm, just like I teach you to do, I had a group of people ready and waiting to buy from me. So I had sales from day one. And I noticed that they were clamoring to see the farm. And so, as a matter of fact, I required each new customer to have a farm tour of our milking facility and our pastures. I walked around with them for an hour at least so that they would understand what went into the milk. Then they would also understand why it cost several times more than anything in the grocery store. But I didn't realize until later, after probably a couple years, that this farm tour requirement and the hours spent one-on-one with them solidified our connection, and they were a customer for life. And they never questioned or doubted the price I had to charge. 10 years later, we still have minimal turnover in our customers, and the in-person, consistent connection building is probably the biggest reason why. When I realized that the farm tour was actually making it really easy to retain customers, I thought, well, I'm just going to schedule a monthly tour during the warm months and see if the public is interested. Sure enough, people are curious about our farms, but also they're looking for things to do and for new experiences. You know, most people don't work 7 days a week like farmers, and they're looking for things to do on their days off. Like, it's funny, some of my friends that work in the corporate world, they'll have a weekend coming up and they'll say, oh, I have no idea what I'm going to do this weekend. And it always shocks me because I forget that other people have weekends and they're looking for things to do. And a farm tour is unique and it's so alluring to many, many people. Also, many of our current customers would bring a friend or they would send their friends. They would just forward the email that I sent out talking about the farm tour. They'd forward it to another person or several people. So we were always attracting new potential customers to our farm too. And while these new people, they wouldn't have driven out the first time for a dozen eggs. Like they didn't get that. Why would you drive 45 minutes for a dozen eggs? But they would drive out this far for a farm tour that their friend told them they just had to go to. And then once they were here and had the tour, again, 99% of the time, they realized they wanted to come back week after week for the eggs, a chicken, or a pound of burger, or some milk. So here's another good reason to schedule those farm tours. And a farm tour is usually the easiest way to start. You can get your feet wet doing farm events because it's pretty low cost and it's low. It doesn't require a lot of help from other people. You can just handle it yourself. So it's a good way to get started. And the other thing about this is if you don't intentionally plan a farm tour, a lot of us end up giving farm tours away anyway. So you might as well make it a part of your farm marketing strategy. I have people stop in all the time. They just drive in the driveway, they get out of their car, and they walk around our farm until they find one of us and ask if I can show them around. Like I will be in the barn with the barn door half open and someone will stick their head inside, see me milking the cow and say, "Oh, I was just wondering if I could look around," because the public thinks that since we own a farm, we're home all day, of course, so we can just drop everything at a moment's notice and show them around. I can't tell you how many times this happens to us in the 10 years we've been doing it. So I learned that having farm tours intentionally planned and scheduled always gave me an answer that was helpful for them, and I didn't have to get resentful at all, and it was also sustainable for me. So instead of saying, "No, I'm in the middle of milking cows or catching chickens or building fence," I could say something like, "Hey, I don't have the resources to show you around right now. And the next chance I can do that is this coming Saturday, August 1st, when we have our tour. It's from 10 to 12. You're going to love it." I pull out my phone and I say, "You can sign up right here," because guess what? They will never feel more connected to you than right at that moment when they've met you. So I've always got my phone in my back pocket. I pull it out and say, "Sign up right here and you will have my devoted attention and you're going to love it." So stop back then and you'll get an email confirming the times and all that. I have it all ready to go and they're going to get signed up that way. Or if you don't have your phone on you or something, just say, "Hey, I've got our next tour schedule. It's on the website. Go there and sign up and you will get 100% of my attention at that time." This way, you have an answer for them and it's helpful and you don't feel resentful that they're asking you to drop everything and show them around. And if it hasn't happened to you yet, it will happen, guaranteed. Also, those of you who are my students in the Sales Made Simple course, remember you have my exact copy from my own farm tours. You've got the words I put on my website. You've got my emails that I use to guarantee they'll become a loyal customer. So you can just copy that and use it for yourself. So I'm telling you, you have no excuse not to be building your loyal customer base using tours. It's so easy. Now you can start to see when you give people a reason to drive out to your farm and see what you're doing by planning and scheduling a paid to farm tour for a Saturday morning, for instance, you'll have people coming to this farm tour. They'll bring their family and friends. They will experience just a little bit of farm life and they'll feel this connection with you. Plus, you're going to make a little bit of money too. And more importantly, repeat sales are so easy with this model. Like I said, once they come out to your farm and connect with you and maybe pet your cat or your pig, they're going to be hooked and they want to come back again and again. The connection they make with you, their farmer, and the experience they have will make them think nothing of driving miles to buy from you. And the reason they're willing to do that is because you've made a connection with them. It's not our farming practices that keep people coming back. It's definitely not our prices, because our prices are going to be higher than anything else they can find. They're coming back because they have this relationship with you or with me, their farmer. All right. So I want you to give this a try. And not only do they go home with eggs that day after the tour, perhaps they'll buy something, but now they're totally sold on driving back every week or two for these products, all from a simple farm tour that will cost you almost nothing, just your time. And they don't concern themselves with the price. This is something that happens psychologically. They don't even think about price because they're no longer shopping with us for the price. They're now shopping with us for this experience and this emotional connection we intentionally created with them. That is using your time strategically. Like I said, I started with farm tours, and then people wanted more. They were willing to pay for all kinds of reasons to spend time with us on the farm. As an example, and do get the checklist because I list out a lot of the different ideas for different events you can have on the farm. So that's at 3calmarketing.com/events for the full checklist. It's huge. You guys are going to love it. There's so much information in there. But some things I did on my farm, of course, I started with farm tours, and I was actually very nervous. Like the first time I had to show a couple around my farm, my voice was shaking. So just know that that's totally normal. That's why you want to start with just a couple or an individual. Show them around. Your voice is going to shake. You're going to get all nervous when they ask you questions. But the second time, it'll be easier. By the fifth time, you will be an old pro. So take massive action, start showing lots of people around, and then pretty soon you'll be able to consolidate them into one Saturday a month. And it'll just be way more efficient use of your time. So some of the events I've had started with those farm tours. I did cheese and home dairying classes, bread baking classes with traditional grains. We did kids camps. We did teen camps. You can do farm to table dinners. I only ever did those as charity events because they're very expensive to have. I did a milk the cow classes, yoga. You can do yoga with goats or without goats. People love to do yoga outside on a grassy area on your farm. We've had book clubs and wine tastings and nutrition classes and lard making classes and bone broth classes. Now, I didn't need any special training to host any of these events, okay? Because I'm a dairy woman and you guys have skills too, but I already knew how to make butter and yogurt, of course, ice cream and cheeses and bone broth and lard. I had my friend teach the bread class. So chances are you have skills already that you could teach that people would love to learn from you. And what I've learned is it's not even about learning the skill, but it's about coming together and connecting in a unique way, something that's other than, going out to dinner with friends. They're looking for things like this to do. So figure out what you can teach, and you will have a group of people wanting to come learn from you. All right. My first cheese class, really, I didn't even plan on it. It's just that I had my cousin and her husband kept asking me how to make cheese. And I just said, hey, why don't you come over to the house on Saturday and we'll make it together? And when we were in the midst of that and I was teaching them what they were doing, this idea of a cheese class came to mind. All right. Soon I started inviting larger groups of people over. It turned into classes at $150 a person for a 3-hour class. This was huge, huge help for cash flow throughout the winter. This was a huge help with cash flow through the winter. In the winter, I had more time to teach, and the cash flow really reduces on most farms in the winter. So it was able to even that out. I could make $1,500 on 1 or 2 Saturdays a month, and that got us through those long, long winters where we did not have as much product to sell. And it was also really interesting that the same people would come to multiple classes, and then they started bringing different friends, or they'd bring their mother or their sister. And so our customer base just kept growing and growing and growing. For instance, do you know how many people have cow milking on their bucket list? It was crazy. I would get calls. I still do. I get calls from people who say, hey, milking a cow's been on my bucket list for years. Can I come do that? And so I just thought, well, I don't have time to just stop and let a person milk a cow because we're very busy, but I turned it into a class, and it was one of our most popular events still. And again, people are customers for life after getting to try to milk your cow because it feels to them like such an intimate and amazing experience that they've just waited their whole life to do. So they could not imagine shopping elsewhere. And even if it's just to pet a cat or feed the horse a carrot or get snotted on by a pig, when these things happen to people on our farms, they feel connected to us for life. And now that I have 10 years perspective, I know this is true. People will still reminisce about the time, say 5 years ago, that they got to make cheese with me. They'll tell me about very specific things that happened in class that I don't even remember, but it has stuck with them forever. And the cost is no object to these people to be able to experience these things that you can't find on Google or Amazon, right? These are so unique to our lifestyle that you and I live. And the public is happy to pay that sustainable price we need to charge for our products, even if our prices have to be double or more what the local farm stand or other stores are charging. All right, so here are things I've learned over the years to research or plan for when scheduling your next event on the farm. Be sure to get the whole checklist where I go into more details, but I really thought about things like insurance and what are the rules for people coming to the farm or boundaries and how was I going to communicate them. I'm going to help you in the checklist. I help you brainstorm what you'll need, what kinds of supplies you'll need. What's your bathroom facility like? Because guaranteed someone's going to show up and need to go to the bathroom right away. What kind of help might you need for the event? So get the complete checklist. I started with farm tours, like I mentioned, because they were the easiest and the lowest cost, really no barrier to entry. So if you're afraid of talking with groups, just start with one couple. Like I said, you will quickly gain confidence. So if you're looking to grow your customer base, build a profitable farm, do plan to host a farm tour at the very least, and maybe even move into other events to help you with that cash flow through the winter. You are going to love it, okay? Remember, get the whole event planning checklist at 3cowmarketing.com/events. Now, I'm going to wrap up by telling you this is the very last week you can enter the contest for a website review or social media account review for leaving a review on iTunes. Again, because my podcast is new, I've had this drawing going the first 6 weeks, and this is the last week for it. So go to 3cowmarketing.com/iTunes and find out how to leave your review and then enter that drawing. I would love to work with you. That would be a lot of fun. All right. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're having the most beautiful summer weather like we're having here in Oregon. And I will see you next time right here on the Profitable Mindset Podcast.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. For more great resources, check out theprofitablemindset.com. See you next time.